Welcome to Spitbucket, and this week we welcome back our perennial guest, Stu Gregor.
Yeah, must be struggling to get anyone other than me. I'm loving this, by the way.
He shoves in.
Hey?
Seriously.
I can't help myself.
Now, what do we got?
The sweetest season of all is spring, Kenneth, as you well know, and the sweet season means spring, means Lindemans, early harvest and sweet seasons, and I bet you never thought you and I would be sitting here drinking lighter in alcohol,
I think that's
lighter in calorie wines. It's not as if two of us couldn't do with a bit lighter alcohol,
Thanks very much.
lighter style wines.
You could have won a lot of money on if you'd backed me sitting here with you drinking low alcohol.
You could have done, but I tell you what, I was saying before that this is the fastest growing category in Australian wine. It's
extraordinary.
This is where it's at the moment, and Lindemans is miles in front as the owner essentially of this category. They've been doing this stuff. Wayne Falkenberg was telling me they've been trialling
for 20 years,
for 20
odd years,
making these low alcohol styles. So
they reckon they finally cracked it.
I reckon they might have. Have a look at this sparkling. I reckon this will amaze you. This is 7.5% alcohol. This sparkling wine, right? It's essentially dry, and it is Pinot Chardonnay, and it's a genuine sparkling.
Well, it's all up front. It hadn't got a lot of length, but it's all up front. It's a big whack of flavour. It's sort of lemony.
It's very lemony, isn't it? Very citrusy. It's 80. It's actually Pinot Chardonnay, and it's not got a whole bunch of secondary sort of grape varieties in it. This is a pretty serious wine. I mean, it's not like a, Lees matured, long flavoured sort of sparkling, but it's a delicious wine.
Are you able to give us a rundown on how they make it as a low alcohol wine?
They tend to use reverse osmosis on most of these wines, which is basically just trying to suck the alcohol out. But you might know better because you and Falky were talking about this. And it's very complicated. I'm no winemaker.
I wouldn't like to contradict you on
I'm just a humble PR guy.
But I believe
they pick a lot of the fruit for these ones very, very early.
They find vineyards that ripen as early as possible.
Yes.
So yet again, we've got someone who's going to love climate change.
Yes.
But they've got to find vineyards that also get. There's no point picking early if they're not ripe. So they've got to get the right ripeness.
Correct.
So by picking early, they keep the alcohol down a little bit that way. Then there's a little bit of tinkering, winemaker tricks, etc.
It's probably actually easier with sparkling wine than it is with a lot of the others because you can pick sparkling wines.
Well, you can already start, yeah. And you say that was 7.5?
7.5, yeah.
Because the others are about 9.5 or so. They're also lower in calories, I believe.
They are.
That's because lower alcohol would mean lower calories.
Correct.
A lot of calories in alcohol, as you can probably tell.
Correct. Well done, you. You see, we would be svelte 65-kilo men if it weren't for all the calories and alcohol. But this is an interesting one because this is 9% alcohol. You're absolutely right. Now, the average, everyone, all the well-informed people on Spitbucket know that 13.5 would probably be your average Shiraz these days.
Yeah, around about. Depending where it comes from, you'd be talking 13 to 15.
13.5 to 15 now, isn't it? I mean, I was in the Barossa yesterday and drinking 15.5s and 16s.
You'd have been loving it.
They're still up there, though. And I think the trend towards lower alcohol, this is, I suppose, the extreme end of the low alcohol trend. But it's still...
You're getting a bit of both.
We really should be pulling back, don't you reckon, as a overall philosophical thing?
I think the idea has been a lot of people feel they are, but there are certainly some guys out there that are still making the big monsters, and there are areas like the Barossa and that which it suits. You don't want thin, weedy Barossa Shiraz because it's never going to sell.
But I'm wondering if you really need 16% alcohol. That's
there is certainly you can go too far.
Yeah, I had several of them, but so this is 9%. So this is where they use a few of them, more of their winemaking tricks to try to get a Shiraz that's still got some spice and some richness of character, pulled back to 9% alcohol. So I think the real challenge, most of us know that there are some good white wines, we're talking about good white wine styles around the world at 7 to 9% alcohol that are great. The challenge, I reckon, is making 9% alcohol red wine that tastes pretty good.
Yeah, characters. It's sort of there's a bit of sort of red berry, floral... And
there's always that clovey, that sort of clovey...
Bit of clovey stuff,
clove, red berries, and a tiny bit of spice as well. It's a really good, solid, simple...
I've got to say, look, I think there's a place for it, obviously, and people want that sort of lower alcohol. It's not something that I'd personally...
You could cop a chill too, I reckon, that wine.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt it.
And I don't think that would hurt it at all. I mean, we're sitting here in the blazing midsummer sunshine, and I think that wine could probably cop a bit of a chill. I just think, it's an interesting category, and it's a really interesting wine. And these wines, which I think I challenge you with, because these are...
Well, this is the next sort of separate thing. Just to finish on that, I mean, to me, much prefer the fizz. The fizz is perfectly pleasant. I mean, you'd give that an 87 or so. The red, I'm not so fussed on, but I can understand that why it's popular, and there'll be a lot of people out there that, you know, terrific. You can have a couple of glasses of that at lunch instead of just one of your big Barossa Shiraz.
Because you've got to think that that's 5 standard drinks in that, and the average bottle of wine would be 8.
About 8, yeah, exactly.
8 or 9.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you know, you've got to moderate your intake a bit. The sweet seasons are interesting because they were just launched.
I'm going back again. Pricing.
Yeah. They're all $13.
Okay. Oh well, that's pretty good value.
And so you'll see them less than that. Don't worry about that. Over summer particularly, you'll see them less than that. But I think with the sweet season, so what you've got here is Lindeman's doing something interesting, which is actually listening to the consumer. You know how everyone, when I was making wine...
Very unlike a wine company.
It is unlike a wine company because 10, 15 years ago, when I was working at Wolfblass, they would always say, think dry, drink sweet. And so we would always leave a lot of residual sugar in wines, but never sort of reveal that we were leaving residual sugar in wines. And so what these are is actually saying, you know what, people do like to have their wines with a bit of sugar in it.
Well, from talking to Wayne, I keep wanting to call him Neville, but that's his cousin.
We think.
We think, yes, we think. The Falkenberg family have been making wine for umpteen million years.
If you're not a Falkenberg, you're a Gleitzer.
You're pretty close, yeah. Or if you're in Langhorne Creek, you're a Potts.
Yeah, pots everywhere.
Yeah. Sorry. They did the low alcohol stuff, and they had a lot of people saying, well, hang on a minute, these are dry. We'd like to try some sweeter styles. So they've gone, well, that's easily done. These aren't the low alcohol, or are they a little bit low alcohol, are they? They are too, actually.
Yeah, these are all 9, so these are all 25% less in alcohol.
Yeah, but not in the calories because you've got the sweetness.
Because there's a bit more residual sugar, yeah.
Exactly, but they are still low alcohol.
Yeah, so these are 9s, again, the 9.5 and 9. But I think what you've got with the... See, I think that's just a terrific, fruity, fresh,
it's clean, plenty of sweetness, but it's balanced.
Yeah.
It's just an easy drink. I mean, that of the 3 so far, that'd be my pick.
Yeah, I think it's a crackerjack little wine, Blancello, and it's got a bunch of different grape varieties in it. It's got some, it's got some Viognier in it. That wine actually, which I think they're putting in it that gives a bit of richness and that sort of stuff. It's obviously got some muscat in it as well, Moscato style, to give it that fruity lift on the nose. So and it's a 2010 vintage, and these were only released a couple of months ago. These wines, by that I'm talking about we're at the end of 2010, and they're flying.
Yeah, look.
You even went to a flower show with them.
I could take it to a flower show, seriously. The payoff was I got to go to the Bledisloe, although that was no payoff.
That didn't really work.
It was just a crap weekend all round.
The best laid plans of mice and men. It's terrible, isn't it? But the flower show is beautiful. They sponsor Florio, they're going to sponsor the Melbourne International Garden Show, all that sort of stuff. So
I took a cigar and went out the back. No, it was a lovely flower show. It's a lovely flower show, and I recommend anyone who has absolutely nothing to do and lives in Canberra, that'd be all the politicians, go and have a look.
And you, how's your garden at home? You're a big gardening fan.
Well, I actually have a pretty impressive garden because I don't do anything to it, so it's more jungle than garden.
Runs wild. Snakes?
Yeah, there are a few snakes,
yes.
But it's Queensland, of course there are snakes.
I've been told about yours. So here again we're going...
12-foot carpet snake on the veranda the other day, did I tell you that? 12-foot carpet snake. Sorry, we've digressed.
So anyway. Final wine is called Dulciana.
Okay, what's
and
that?
Again, there's a bit of Dolcetto in it.
That's the bit of the woman out of Man of La Mancha.
It might be. You see, the Man of La Mancha.
Oh, you've got yours.
Yeah, I poured
You're
mine.
right. Okay, now I'll pour mine.
Sorry about that, Kenneth B. Gargett.
What are the varieties?
There's about a dozen, or there's about 8 varieties in this wine, and it's not a Chateau Neuf de Pape trivia question, but there's obviously Dolcetto in it. There's a little bit of Grenache in it. There's a bunch of other grape varieties in it, including one called Canadian Muscat, I think it's called, that Wayne was telling me about. Never heard of it either.
Never heard of it, yeah. But did you make that up, or was that
true?
No,
I did not make that up. I swear to God. It's... and I think this is, again, if you go back, do you remember the old days when people, that Dolcetto Syrah that Brown Brothers used to make and those sorts of wines? It's a real challenge to make a wine like this, and I reckon they've actually not gone too bad with this.
It's certainly sweet. I mean, I know the thought of a chilled sweet red is going to put some people running screaming. Careful, Stu, you're getting some in the Spitbucket. Now, but it's for a picnic, for a summer. You whack it in the ice bucket. Both those last two, to me, and I didn't think I'd be saying this. I actually prefer these two to the first two.
I think the little bit of sugar really does help because with the lower alcohol, I think it gives them a bit more of a lift.
Fills it out, balances it. It's perfectly pleasant style.
They're all right, aren't they? I've surprised you, haven't I?
You have actually.
I think he's lost for words.
I thought I'd be sitting here sort of squirming and thinking, well, how can I try and find something nice to say about it? But no, not unpleasant. Not unpleasant.
I think I'm lost for words.
Not
Anyway,
unpleasant.
Lots of fun. So all of them are under $15, and you can find them pretty much in every bottle store around the country. And
Then, I mean, they're
lots of fun.
not there for serious thought and serious drinking.
they're
And
not for long-term contemplation over.
if you're trying to impress the boss, you probably don't pull one of those out. But if you're out for a nice picnic outdoors, having a bit of fun, perfect.
Perfect. Welcome to spring and welcome to summer.
Anything else about Early Harvest or Sweet Seasons?
Nah, we love Lindemans. I mean, Lindemans is a great name, and I just think they're
The last time I went to the Lindemans, the old Hunter
the old home,
winery,
yeah, up in the Hunter,
the spiritual home,
Yes.
they had a big sign out the front saying Kiwi Sauv Blanc, and they were playing Kiss. I nearly wept. But they've moved in other directions.
They have moved in other directions. Thank God. They were playing Kiss.
They were playing Kiss.
I would have wept more about them playing Kiss than. Oh no, I wouldn't have.
And a sign to buy some Kiwi Sauv Blanc in there.
Anyway, no, Lindemans wonderful. We love them. That'll do me.
Okay, righto. Just running very quickly through, I reckon you're talking an 86, 87. These are both around about the 87 mark for points, maybe 86, 87 again. That I'm a little bit more the 82, 83 for me. I just didn't take to it.
I think those are. You've underdone them by a couple. But that's my opinion. I'm the PR guy. What would you expect? Thank you.
Thank you from Spitbucket. Just remember, we spit occasionally in the Spitbucket, Stuart.
Yes.
So you don't have to.
So you don't have to. I'm doing the work for you.
Yeah. No doubt we'll see him again soon. We can't get rid of him. Thank you.
Bye-bye.